Hi, thank you so much for hanging out with us today. I have some special guests, as you can tell, here on the broadcast with us. And thank you for being a part of the Recovery to Practice community. We are so grateful for your membership and for your participation in this group. It certainly makes it what it is having you here. If you haven't met me before, I am Carrie Breedlove. I am the current program coordinator for Recovery to Practice. We are housed at the University of North Texas and currently funded by the ATTC, the Addiction Technology Transfer Center out of Austin, Texas. And so we are so grateful for their support in helping us make this virtual community possible and bringing on live video interview guests so that we can talk about really important topics in the recovery space. And we certainly invite you to interact with us in this conversation, even if you happen to be catching us on the replay, and drop any questions that you have. If there's interesting things that you're thinking about as we are discussing these topics, feel free to engage with us, and we will come back on the back end of this video and also chat with you about it as well. And if you're live, definitely say hello, let us know that you're here, and feel free to engage in this conversation because this is a really important topic. In Recovery to Practice, we talk about a variety of different populations of individuals and their experience in recovery and how important it is to be informed about somebody's culture and their life experience. And so today we are specifically talking about women who are justice involved. And I'm so grateful for these two ladies to come on together. We have Margie ONeill, who is an LCDC counselor, as well as Katie Ford, the executive director for Truth Be Told. And we are so grateful for them taking their time to be with us today. Thank you, ladies, for being here. Truth Be Told is changing, as I say on their Facebook page, changing the broken narrative for women in the criminal justice system. And it is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides gender responsive programs and a safe community for women during and after incarceration. So thank you, ladies. I'm so happy for you to be here today.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Margie, we'll start with you if you can just introduce yourself, and then we'll have Katie introduce herself as well.
Okay, well, my name is Margie ONeill, and I'm a licensed chemical dependency counselor currently working with juvenile justice adolescents in East Texas. But I met Katie Ford because I am a program graduate of Truth Be Told. Truth Be Told has been around for a number of years. They assist women that are behind bars to learn some tools to be able to develop productive lives after incarceration, which of course I have. When I first was released, I didn't really have any skills or tools to really survive life. So currently I hold a bachelor's degree and a licensed chemical dependency degree, and I'm working towards a master's degree. And I attribute my success to the things that I learned with Truth Be Told.
Great, thank you so much. Katie?
Hi, my name is Katie Ford. I'm the executive director of Truth Be Told. I've been with the organization for 10 years. I started as a volunteer facilitator, teaching one of the courses, facilitating one of the courses called Talk to Me Writing. It quickly became the most important thing I was doing with my life. So I left my career in journalism, got into the nonprofit spaces, and I've been the executive director of Truth Be Told for the past 2 years.
Great, thank you guys. And in fact, this is a shout out to RTP too, because we all connected through Recovery to Practice. Yes. And finding each other there. Yes. So there's so many great connections that can happen inside of the group. So we hope that you're taking advantage of that. So we're going to talk about the special population of justice involved women. And I was asking the ladies before we got on the broadcast today about what are some of the ways that we need to even speak about? What is the language? We talk a lot about language and stigmatizing versus destigmatizing language here in the community. And so we talked about putting women first. We also call it in the rehab field person first language, saying women who have been incarcerated or women who are justice involved. And we'll be sharing a little bit more about kind of a double meaning to that here in a little bit. Katie, tell us a little bit about some of the stats when it comes to this special population.
Yes, so women in the criminal justice system and in our prison system in the United States have been largely invisible, but they're the population, they're the fastest growing population in the U.S. criminal justice system. Since 1978, over the past 40 years, they have women behind state prison bars have escalated 834%. They are getting incarcerated a time and a half faster than men. And there's a growing body of research that is calling for gender responsive, trauma informed care policy and culture in our correctional system, because our correctional system was largely designed by men for men. We have 2.3 million people incarcerated in the United States, and 200,000 of them are women. So they are the minority, but they are growing at alarmingly fast rates.
Do we know why that is?
I don't.
And so that's an area for research then, potentially.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we do have a number of educators in our group, and we'll be speaking a little bit about what educators and students need to know. And it sounds like this could be one of those areas. Why are those rates so high? And so feel free to connect, on the back end of this video too, in terms of some of these things that we're discussing. There's always room for growth and all of these areas. So
I will say, Carrie, I will say one thing is that some researchers in the field, they talk about the zero tolerance drug laws that is causing a lot of women to get leading a lot of women into the criminal justice system. But those of us who are proximate to the population and working with these women, yes, maybe the technicality was a drug charge, but behind every drug charge, if you listen to her story, you will uncover past trauma and abuse. What was going on behind her addiction, her living in addiction, which got her involved in the criminal justice system.
Yes, and so on that note, I'm going to flip over and share our screen to give a little brief introduction. This is a video, and it's about a 5-minute video. We're only going to show about a minute of it here in this broadcast that talks a little bit about Truth Be Told and some of this important information regarding women who are involved in the justice system. And so you can certainly find this on the Truth Be Told website. We'll be sharing that with you. So I'm going to share that screen now, and we're going to let this video play out just for a half second here, and we'll talk about this on the back end.
Your story, your wounds are all a domino effect to what happens in your life.
The abuse to prison pipeline in a woman's life is broken down like this. As a child, she's abused physically or sexually, emotionally. And then as she comes of age and she hasn't been given the safe space to heal from that abuse, she wants to numb the feelings and the pain. So she becomes addicted to alcohol, drugs, and it becomes a vital way of her survival. And then she begins to engage in activities to feed that addiction, to continue to mask the pain of the past trauma and abuse. And that behavior is what gets her involved in the criminal justice system. Once a woman enters the criminal justice system, she's getting messages that echo the messages of her abuser when she was a child, which is, your body is not your own, you have no voice, you are powerless, and you deserve to be treated less than. So she's leaving the criminal justice system not empowered, not healed, not using her voice to stand up for herself. If the correctional system is truly interested in correcting the course of a woman's life, they will focus on healing that past trauma and abuse. And that's precisely what Truth Be Told does.
So what a great overview, just reminding us about what women are experiencing prior to incarceration, and then what is helpful for them in that process of as they're experiencing that, and then beyond. And so tell us a little bit about with women, what are some of the common misconceptions that you feel like are associated with this particular group of women?
Margie, you want to take that?
Well, some of the common misconceptions is that once you go to jail or you go to prison for some kind of crime, that you have no future. Some of the common misconceptions are that once you've been incarcerated, there's no way to bounce back from that. We don't have the tools necessary. So we end up with several strikes. One, we're female. Two, we've been involved in the criminal justice system. Three, we lack education. And four, we're a felon. We're a convicted felon. And so I was on a mission when I got released to change all of those things about myself. And because of Truth Be Told, while I was in the program, their form is called the 4Cs. And I think I've talked about this before in Recovery to Practice: communication, creativity, caring for self, and community. Those were foreign concepts to me. I was raised in a culture that you handled your own stuff. You didn't talk about none of that. And so once I put those tools to work for me, I was able to be part of a college community, part of a recovery community, part of a professional community. And I've used those throughout my life. Now, the creativity part of that for me was having vision for what I was going to do with my life, and being able to tell somebody, yes, I can, no, I can't, and set those appropriate boundaries for self-care as all that's possible. And just be able to communicate everything about the situation. They've added a fifth C, I think, since I was there, and I don't know. Katie, is that true? You've added a fifth one?
No, actually, Dara, one of our other graduates, she's also a counselor, and her clients have added a fifth C, the C of compassion.
That's great. And so tell us a little bit about what are some ways that we can be a part of decreasing stigma with this population?
I think for me,
Go ahead, Margie.
Well, for me, basically, you don't need to let a person's past define who they are, because who they were, they paid their dues by going to jail and being incarcerated. So moving forward, they need to be treated like everybody else. They need to be given the opportunities that everybody else has. They need to be seen for what their capabilities are, not for what their past is about.
Mm-hmm.
I have a good friend of mine who always says, how would you like to be judged for the rest of your life for the worst day in your life? So, and also, so many, not just women, but men leave the correctional system having, as Margie said, they paid their due. They did what they were asked. They served their time. The sentence is over, but they leave a physical prison only to enter a social prison. They remain incarcerated, so to speak. And so I think just, yes, as Margie said, recognizing that everybody deserves another chance.
Yes. Margie, tell us a little bit about what are some practical ways that clinicians and peer recovery coaches can help women who are justice involved to tell their story.
Well, for a long time, I didn't want to tell my story. Truth Be Told opened that forum for me, and basically taught me to be honest with myself, not so much about what my story was, to be honest with myself and to own it, and to understand that that's who we are, but that's not who we will always be, because we're forever writing our story. The story that I told during the time that I was with Truth Be Told is still being written, but now it's being written in a different light. So being able to share your story with people that understand whether you be a professional or even just a friend, and for them to know that you need to do that to heal. I know for a while, when I would tell my story, I couldn't tell it without crying, but I've learned over the years that the more often I've told it, the less it is, the less emotional it is, and the less power it has over who I am and where I'm going.
Mm-hmm. We also wanted to touch base a little bit, Katie, on just the work that you do inside of the prison system, and what are some ways that peers and clinicians can support the recovery of a woman who has been incarcerated once they're released. What's important for us to know when we are working with someone in our practice?
Right. Well, a high percentage of women who are in the correctional system are survivors of trauma. Anywhere from 75 to 95% have histories of childhood physical, sexual, emotional abuse. And the majority of those women report that abuse happening before they were 17 years old. So we have a lot of women who are trauma survivors, and then they've been in a correctional setting, which is designed to traumatize, to punish. So keeping that in mind when you're working with women who are releasing from the system, if they have not had access to safe healing spaces while they were incarcerated. And I think also when we're inside, when we're facilitating our classes, one of the unique things about the work that we do is that we make sure that the power dynamic in the classroom is that we are first and foremost a circle, a community of women who are on a healing journey together. It's not a top down to, we are not there to fix, to preach, to talk at, or to teach. We are there to simply facilitate and hold safe space, lend them tools or give them the tools that they can then choose to use and empower their own healing journey, having ownership over that healing process.
And
you know that many women, when they get there, they're in survival mode. They make choices based on what their environment is, what availability of resources is, and they're not in a mindset of asking for help. So if we as clinicians understand that most everybody that ends up in that kind of situation is running on survival mode, we can figure out how to empower them with tools that can take them out of just living that way.
Would you mind just maybe giving an example, if there is one you have on the top of your head, about what are some of those tools, or a tool that you've used to help someone to do that?
Well, basically, they need to know how to fill out a job application. They need to learn to be able to communicate. They need to know where they can apply for food stamps, and they need to be able to understand how to get a social security card and how to get their driver's license, how to apply for college. We need to empower them with tools for success and not allow them to stay in that same cycle that took them to jail. They have to be able to grow out of the box that they placed themselves in.
And I think also talking to the softer skills, building emotional resiliency and helping her reframe the story of what she believes put her on a path to prison. The same things that have been filling her with shame, guilt, remorse, the things that have been imprisoning her emotionally, reframing that and helping her to see that when she can stand in her truth, when she can own her story, she's empowered to write new chapters. That the same thing that has been imprisoning her emotionally can actually be her superpower when she is able to speak from a place of truth and also accountability, and also from a place of ownership. Because when she then tells her story, she learns that not only is it a healing process for her, but it's also can be healing to the listener, because those that are listening to her truth, listening to her story, now know that they are no longer alone. So that, I think that's a very transformative experience when a woman realizes the very story that she's been running from actually has healing power.
Wow. Yeah.
Many women, they fear applying for a job because of the background check. Up until a few years ago, they couldn't get food stamps if they had a drug charge, and Lauren, one of our Truth Be Told graduates, got involved with the ACLU, and she created the legislature for that 4 years ago to allow people coming out of jail that had drug charges to be able to get food stamps, to allow them to be able to provide for their families. Also, being able to get housing. I know you have to have at least 10 years out of the criminal system to even be able to qualify for an apartment. I had a degree and I had a good job, but I wasn't 10 years from my criminal history, and it was hard to get housing.
Again, it's that thing of speaking to releasing from a physical prison only to enter a social prison that wants you to be a productive member of society, but not in their backyard.
Yeah, and so any thoughts that you guys have on that in particular, the social prison? It's such a big reality, and I know there's a lot of news stories and things surrounding that at times, depending on what's going on in different communities. What are some things that can help, from the field, from peers, from clinicians, maybe even educators or students, to work on dismantling the social prison that we're seeing? Any thoughts, you
Well,
guys?
go ahead, Margie.
I know that recently, like in the last couple of years, I'm really active in legislative advocacy in Austin for the last few years. The justice involved. I was justice involved behind bars. Now I'm justice involved out in the free. And some of the things that they did that Google was working with was checking the box, not having to check the box about whether you're a felon or not, so that you can at least present your side of the story. The only thing that's really going to change the stigma is to create non-discrimination laws. Now, we have discrimination laws all over the country for certain things, but yet they're allowed to discriminate people who have been punished for a felony or have been incarcerated. So they need to create new laws and new legislation to make an impact on that, because people's viewpoint is not going to change unless there's some kind of guideline laid out for them to change that.
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I know you were telling us that before the broadcast that there are some advocacy efforts that you're involved in. Would you speak to a bit of that as well?
Well, recently we did the dignity bills in Austin, which was allowing incarcerated women to have access to feminine napkins, allowing them to have adequate mental health, trauma screenings, for them to be able to pregnant women to be able to go to their appointments not shackled, spend a little more time with their babies. The dignity bills, there were several to the bills. I could probably just go on and on. But they did approve them and they did go through. So we're still, the women that have been in there that know what it's like to be in there are now advocating to change what it's like for women that are still in there. And so the Texas Coalition of Criminal Justice and the Smart on Crime campaign have joined forces with us that have lived experience and involved in the criminal justice program to assist them with their forum. And we're making an impact. In fact, the Coalition of Criminal Justice has a retreat in November that I've been invited to so that we can talk about the next platform for the next legislative year. So our voices are being heard. We are making an impact. I'm part of the Beyond Bars program with Truth Be Told, so I've stayed active. I graduated the program in 2006. I was released in 2007. I've stayed connected with them over the years, and it seems like just because I'm willing to show up and just do my part, these opportunities come up. And that's the main thing. If you're interested in something, reach out to the Texas Coalition of Criminal Justice, the Smart on Crime campaign, whatever it is that you're interested in, and ask, what is going on? What can I be involved in? And just show up. It makes an impact. It really does.
Mm-hmm. Katie?
I think one of the organic things that we're seeing happening among our graduate population is that what we're calling the graduate to advocate pathway. So our graduates are learning to tell their stories for the first time. Usually that's their trauma stories, what happened to them when they were little girls. They were victims first before they started victimizing others. Hurt people, as the expression goes. So they learn to tell their stories inside in our classrooms as a mode and a vehicle for healing. But if they choose to continue to tell their truth, to continue to tell their story when they're out in the free world, they realize that their story has a second superpower, and that is the power to evoke change, systemic change. And that's what's happening with a lot of our graduates. They're finding a pathway to purpose, using their voices, speaking their truth, and making systemic change. There were 8 bills on at the Capitol, Texas Capitol this session. We had a small but mighty group of Truth Be Told graduates. Margie was a part of it, going from office to office, advocating for these bills, and all 8 were signed into law.
Wow, that's massive. And if you had not been there, we don't know that would have occurred.
Right.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And so, Katie, talk to us a little bit about the Talk to Me program and what that looks like inside of a prison and where this is being utilized right now.
Okay, great. So we do the Talk to Me program on, let's see, 4 units, or excuse me, 3 women's units right now. It's a 17-week course. They meet once a week for 2 hours. And the invitation, the main the main invitation of that course is to tell the story of what you believe put you on a path to prison, looking both at your life experiences, things that happened to you that now you can look back on in hindsight and say, that really shaped who I am, how I'm showing up today as a woman. And then also looking at the choices and decisions that you made along the way. Like I owned that. What was my role in all of this? So both the life experiences and the choices that slowly but surely led her to where she is today, which is incarcerated. And then the second half of the semester, we call it discovery because it's a self-discovery process where we use the expressive arts, spoken word poetry, movement, visual art to further hone the healing, personal wisdom, trust building, and community building that was gained in the first 8 weeks as each woman shared her story in a safe circle. So she can, now that she has a better understanding of how she got to where she is today, what kind of woman does she want to be moving forward? What kind of woman does she want to be moving into the community once she is released from prison? And our facilitators go along the process with them. So our facilitators are also having to name their metaphorical prison. You know, all of us, in some way, it's a universal human thing. We all incarcerate ourselves. We all imprison ourselves, either here or in here, holding us back from being our truest versions of ourselves. What is it? You know, is it insecurity? Is it grief? You know, what is it? Addiction, even. And so being able to name your metaphorical prison, write to it, speak to it, move to it, just as the women are. And so first and foremost, as I said earlier, we are a circle of women on a healing journey. Some of us in that moment happen to be incarcerated and others are free.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. And so on that point, I wanted to make sure that we highlighted the current campaign that you guys have going on as well. And I'm going to pull that up, and you can find that on Facebook and as well as the website. And so I'm going to get over here to your Facebook page so that we can share that and how people can get in touch with you if they'd like to learn more or like to hear more about what you guys are doing. Tell us a little bit about this 10-day campaign that you're right in the middle of.
So this is our second year to do this. The inspiration behind it was Humans of New York. So for 10 days, we are introducing a graduate of our program who is now back in the free world. And it's her picture plus a short, digestible editorial interview about her thoughts on what Truth Be Told means to her, what her experience of Truth Be Told was, and life after incarceration. What is her life like now? And so we're introducing a new graduate for the next for 10 days. We're on day 5, so we're in the midway mark of our campaign. And the beautiful thing is we're trying to raise $30,000, and if we can do that, every single dollar will be matched. So this has potential to bring $60,000 to Truth Be Told programs. We operate in 5 women's correctional facilities in Central Texas, reaching about 1,000 women a year.
Yes. Are you able to say which ones those are, which facilities this curriculum is used in?
Sure. Lockhart Correctional, Travis County Correctional Complex, Hilltop Unit, Mountain View Unit, and Lane Murray Unit. All 3 of those are in Gatesville.
So if there's someone that are not in those areas and they are involved in any kind of ministry or outreach or whatnot inside of the prison systems, is this curriculum something that they can have access to? Where are you at with that part?
I love that question. So this is what we're aiming for. We're a grassroots organization that has been in operation for 19 years. You know, we're going to celebrate our 20th next year. Founded by 3 women, full of heart. We've been all volunteer facilitators doing this for the past 20 years. And the curriculum is now being packaged, and we are building out trainings that can support our facilitators, and working on methods to where we can get that curriculum out there and we can have facilitators trained who do not live in the Austin area. Right now, it's restricted to those volunteers who live near Austin and can go to prison units that are in Central Texas, because our training process is largely just modeling and following and shadowing an existing facilitator. Obviously, that's not possible for somebody who lives in Far East Texas or Connecticut or whatnot. And so we are seeing a real need for this curriculum. People are asking for it, but we don't have the trainings and we're not positioned to scale like that yet. So that's why we're raising money. We need to do curriculum development. We need to build out the training, facilitator trainings and support systems to scale this.
That's fantastic. So if you're hearing this video and this is resonating with you on some level and you would like to be involved, whether it be in any of these different aspects and components of the program that Katie has been speaking of today in terms of just the development of it, the scaling of it, on any level, we would really invite you to reach out to her and or to Margie and to drop your comments and your collaborative ideas below, because I know there's a lot of people in the community that may have, that are justice involved. As we've said, I love how we are taking a turn on that phrase, that there's a justice involvement in being incarcerated, but then there's so much justice involvement that all of us really are hoping to be a part of in terms of advocacy, and what a great thing to be advocating for. So I did want to show the website, and Katie, if you can let us know how people are able to reach out to you as well if they have questions.
There on the main navigation bar, you see contact on the far right. Click contact and I will get that email.
Okay, awesome. And Margie, if anyone would like to connect with you, what is the best way for people to reach you?
Well, they're welcome to reach out to me here on Recovery to Practice. I love the fact that Recovery to Practice provides us a platform to talk about and share things that we normally would not share or discuss. I also wanted to encourage everybody that if you're interested to speak in Truth Be Told, that we have we have volunteer witnesses come in and see the graduations. If you want to volunteer witness to come and witness a graduation at one of the units, just to see how that is, to see if maybe you're interested to speak, that would be something I would encourage you to reach out to Katie. As Katie has said, I'm too far to really be involved within the prison system, but we do have a mentorship program that I'm involved in, and I do facilitate conference calls once a week for the women that are coming out of prison, so I'm part of the Beyond Bars program.
And if you're interested in respectfully witnessing a graduation in one of the prisons, a Truth Be Told graduation, we have an events page on our website, and you can RSVP through the events page.
Fantastic. Well, ladies, thank you so much for taking the time to chat about Truth Be Told, to chat about women who are justice involved. And we know there are men as well that are, advocates in this area. So we certainly don't want to leave you guys out as well and being part of this. But thank you so much for sharing with us. I know that we will be seeing you around in the community, and we welcome you to continue to share some of those important information that we've discussed today, and any of its forms, or expanding on that as you think of it and as you think of Recovery to Practice. So thank you guys again. I appreciate your time.
Thank you so much, Carrie, for the platform.
Bye.
Okay, we'll see you all soon. Thanks. Y'all have a wonderful weekend.
Thank you.
You too.